What's going on, guys? Mikkel here, and today we're getting into PolkaDot. Guys, PolkaDot is going to be one of the biggest projects in blockchain for the sole reason that they are solving a massive issue, which is interoperability. The projects built on PolkaDot are going to be massive in the future, and we have an outstanding opportunity to get in at the ground floor. PolkaDot parachains are right around the corner, and they will give us the opportunity to invest in a lot of these projects building in the PolkaDot ecosystem for absolute bargain prices. You guys are definitely going to want to see this video because I'm going to tell you the importance of PolkaDot, why the projects building on it are going to be so massive, and which ones I'm looking at that I think are absolute no-brainers to make you a ton of money in the coming months. Guys, if you are new to this channel, make sure you like this video down below, subscribe to it, and comment what you think. It helps me out so much and will help me out in the YouTube algorithm so more people like you can see this video. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoy the content, and let's jump right into it. Alright, guys, so we're actually going to start on the PolkaDot chart. I think it's important to look at this first because we want to know where PolkaDot's going in the coming months, because not only will that dictate where we can make profits on PolkaDot, but will also tell us what the smaller projects being built on PolkaDot will do as well. A lot of the times when PolkaDot pumps, the smaller projects built on it just pump harder. That's the way it's worked, and likely the way it will continue to work. As value flows into larger ecosystem, it tends to trickle down into the smaller market cap projects, causing them to pump massively. If we look at the PolkaDot chart, we can see that there's not a lot of price history, so it's hard to do too much technical analysis, but I think it's kind of obvious that we are going to be hitting $100 at some point this year or next year. I think it's pretty likely that we probably consolidate here for a little bit, retest the old all-time high, before we eventually pump up here for a massive explosion. PolkaDot is one of the best projects in the blockchain ecosystem for the fact that it's solving interoperability. PolkaDot also has a massive amount of its token being staked to secure the network, and therefore causes a massive demand shortage for the token. We've seen that this has done great things for the PolkaDot chart, as it's currently sitting in the top 10, and it's still relatively new. It's gained a ton of value very fast, and I think a large reason for that is it does a super good job of locking up its tokens so people aren't able to sell. One way we have to lock up the tokens is through staking, and another is going to be through the parachain auctions that are right around the corner. If you don't know what a parachain auction is, it's essentially where a project that wants to build on the PolkaDot ecosystem essentially has to go through a voting process. The voting process works by different people taking their PolkaDot token and locking it into a smart contract that essentially counts as a vote. It is then stuck there for around a year or two while the project builds out its network. The most important part to realize about this is, one, we are going to be able to get the tokens from the projects we delegate our DOT to, but two, this DOT is going to be locked up for a very long time, allowing massive demand factors to come into play, and ultimately I believe that all the DOT left on the market will end up getting scooped up so people can use it to delegate to these parachain slots and eventually cause the DOT price to rocket. I know that was a lot, but let's jump into some fundamental data and some different projects building on it, because that might help you visualize everything going on. So from a easy to understand way to explain PolkaDot, I'm not going to get too into it. It's a great project. You just need to know that they're really solving interoperability. PolkaDot is a network protocol that allows arbitrary data, not just tokens, to be transferred across blockchains. Essentially what PolkaDot is it links all the different blockchains, allows them to transfer data seamlessly, and that way you don't have a bunch of siloed blockchains all doing their own separate thing. PolkaDot allows them to all work together, and is really the internet we're heading to. The internet wouldn't work well if Google couldn't communicate with Facebook and Facebook couldn't communicate with Twitter. Well, PolkaDot is solving this in a decentralized way for blockchains. It's very important. It's going to be a massive infrastructure play, and I really think it's a no-brainer in the blockchain world. It's kind of one of those projects where if everything does well, PolkaDot does well because it's connecting everything together. it's really a network of networks. And if we see this visualization right here, I really like it. And it might just look cool, but it really tells the story too. If you think about all these blocks around the edge being different blockchains, well, PolkaDot's kind of like the circle in the middle that is connecting them all together and allowing data to flow to one another. I really like the PolkaDot project. I think it's going to be fundamentally important to blockchain in the future, and therefore I think the different projects being built on it have potential to be absolutely huge. We saw this in the early day of Ethereum, and people who got into projects like Chainlink early ended up making massive gains. I actually bought Chainlink under $1, and I didn't even buy that much at the time because I didn't know that much about blockchain as I do now, but I got huge gains just because I was so early to such an important project building on the Ethereum ecosystem. We're going to have the same thing for PolkaDot, and those who get in early via these parachain auctions are going to have the opportunity to make a ton of money. So, like I said, PolkaDot unites networks. Heterogeneous blockchains, I like this word a lot. If you don't know what it essentially means blockchains that don't mix. You can think of different projects built on Ethereum as homogeneous, but then Ethereum and say the XRP ledger as heterogeneous. They don't mix. Well, PolkaDot connects these heterogeneous blockchains, the ones that don't mix, and allows them to mix, letting information flow between them and making a more seamless internet. One of the projects that I think is an absolute no-brainer that I think you guys, I'm going to be delegating almost all my DOT to this project. I think this one is such easy money. I think it's going to be one of the biggest, and that is Moonbeam. Moonbeam is essentially the project that is going to be bridging PolkaDot to Ethereum. Guys, if one thing is obvious through all of blockchain, is that Ethereum is the standard for all development. Almost every single project out there has made it its goal to connect to Ethereum in some way. It's a no-brainer that PolkaDot will be connecting to Ethereum. They're going to be doing it through Moonbeam, and this Moonbeam bridge is going to be used a ton because projects are going to want to go between two of the most important blockchains in the ecosystem. There's a lot more to it than that. Moonbeam is a very complex network, but we all have already seen the PolkaDot testnet. Kusmama launched a testnet version of Moonbeam called Moonriver, and that one has absolutely popped off, made a ton of gains. I think Moonbeam's going to be the same. Yeah, I just think this is a no-brainer project. Very, very simple concept, connecting PolkaDot to Ethereum. We can see it easily. It will likely have a lot of people in the auction, but in my opinion, it's worth it because this is going to be such a fundamentally important project, and if you can get in early, you're likely going to make a lot of money. I would compare it to probably getting in Chainlink in the early days. Next thing I want to get into is the Pontim network, and this is another bridge. I mean, the whole point of PolkaDot is bridges, so if you can invest in the big bridges, you're probably going to make a lot of money. Not financial advice, I'm just saying what I'm doing. Pontim is actually connecting to the Diem project. If you don't know what Diem is, it's actually Facebook's blockchain. I don't know how much more of it I have to say than that. I already explained the bridge concept with Moonbeam and Ethereum. Well, I think there's a little more risk with this one because regulators don't want Facebook to have Diem. I'm not going to get into that whole issue, but if Diem does become a thing and Facebook has all its users on Diem, well, then if you're the bridge connecting Diem to PolkaDot, you're probably going to do very well. I think it's important to point out that this Pontem network will probably be used for other things if the Diem doesn't work, but I think it probably will. I think it's another no-brainer bet. I think it's probably a little more risky than Moonbeam. I think Moonbeam is just one of the easiest ones of all time, but this one might have more upwards price potential if Facebook ends up launching a super successful Diem and is able to port all its users onto it. The next one I want to get into is Calla. This is another just absolutely no-brainer. You can see me squinting right now. The screen's like really bright compared to these other two. So Calla is a DeFi terminal for PolkaDot. Once again, I don't know if I really have to say much more than that. DeFi is huge. Every blockchain is going to have its own DeFi station. There's others that could get in front of Calla, but it just seems like Calla is really the front runner. I like this project a lot. Honestly, I'm not going to be using or getting into the Parachain auction for this one. I'd rather focus on Moonbeam. I really like Calla. It's just, I I don't know. I'm kind of in some other DeFi projects here and there. I just kind of like Moonbeam. Something about it is just cool to me. I still like Acala a lot. I think it's a no-brainer. If you plan on doing a lot of stuff with DeFi, I think this is probably one you'd probably want to get into. The next one I want to get into is a smaller market cap one, and one that kind of has a soft spot in my heart because I've always been a fan of the Oracle plays, and that is Kylin. Kylin is building a cross-chain platform powering the data economy on PolkaDot, and essentially what it is, it's an Oracle project built on PolkaDot. I think this one is actually, once again, a super easy, just, it's gonna do great because PolkaDot is importing chain links like Oracle and API 3, but they all are also going to want to have their own native Oracle, kind of the Oracle of PolkaDot, their own version of Chainlink, even though Chainlink's going to be built on it. Just the way these things work, they're going to want their own Oracle. They're going to have a whole bunch of different Oracles. It's a fundamental building block of the network. You need Oracles. I think Kylin is the front runner for that. They seem like they're doing a really good job so far. They have some really good partners. Hopefully they're listed on here. Oh, you can see the investors. They have some very good investors. Moonrock Capital has done a whole bunch of great investments, and we also see AU21 Capital, another big one. We can see in their Datto ecosystem, they're with Bondly, which is fairly big, Reef, which is big, and then Plasma Pay and Poke Markets. In my opinion, this project is kind of just a little more risky than the other ones we've mentioned. It's a little smaller, but I think it's got a very high chance of being successful, for the sole fact that it is really going to be the leading native Oracle for the PolkaDot system, and therefore I like it a lot. Two more, get through these fast. This one is, I mean, I keep saying this, but like, polkadex. This is going to be the Uniswap of PolkaDot. Do I need to say more? I'll just say it looks better than Uniswap. They have a live order book. I mean, it looks clean, looks cool. You just need this. It's a fundamental play that's going to be needed on PolkaDot. We know PolkaDot's going to be massive. We know, therefore, polkadex will also be big. Just like the early, I actually got it in Uniswap pretty early too, and it's because I looked at Uniswap and I said this is critical. It was the leading exchange. Same thing for polkadex. Sometimes it's best not to overcomplicate things. You can throw some little amounts of money in these gems that are trying to solve these massive issues. But sometimes you just want to stick with the easiest bet out there, and I think this is one of them. I could be getting some of this. I don't know yet. There's still like a lot of time in the future, so we just have to see where this one goes. Once again, my favorite is Moonbeam, but this one is a close second. And the last one is Follow Network. This is one that I'm not going to lie, I'm still trying to really wrap my head around what they're doing. Global Confidential Compute Cloud. If you want to learn a lot more about this one, Mickey B. Fresh, that channel with Patty XRP, did a whole breakdown of this project. They are some of the most technical people in this space. They really understand things on a whole different level. I think I'm going to leave this one for them to explain. The channel is Mickey, M-I-C-K-Y-B, Fresh. Make sure you check out that channel. Tell them I sent you over. Maybe they'll throw me a little shout out or something. This, from what I saw in their video, is an extremely impressive project. I'm just not going to butcher it by trying to oversimplify it for you guys. If you guys enjoyed this content, make sure you like it down below. I really like the PolkaDot project. I want to do more videos out on it in the future. There hasn't been too much to talk about. We're kind of waiting for these parachains to launch, but as soon as they start going, I think this is going to get really exciting, and I'm going to be able to make a lot more content on PolkaDot in the future. Anyway, guys, thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you're still here, you're an absolute G, and you owe me a subscribe right now because I've had your attention for this long. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and for now, Mickle out.